Hello. Okay, so I'm very happy to have you all here on this webinar of the Women's on Board program. And today we have the pleasure to have Anna, Heidi, and Jenny with us. And it's a very special webinar because we have representations from all the world. I think all the continents are here. Heidi from the US and Jenny from Singapore and Anna from Europe and myself from Tel Aviv. So I think it's the most international forum that we had. I want to share with you a couple of slides and notes about what is this forum all about. So we are part of the Women Leadership Forum that is promoting women and leadership in the PNG alumni network. I hope you can see my slide. And actually our mission is really to help PNG women alumni and be the most impactful and empowering professional women leadership network in the world, grounded in PNG values. And we thought that those PNG values and this PNG family is something very, very special that gathers all of us together. And our mission of the Women's Leadership Forum, that is led by Luan Eckert, our chairman, and Sophie Bloom, our vice chairman, is to foster opportunities and enable impact for PNG women alumni worldwide. So when looking at our 2025 strategy and focus areas, we had three. One, we nurture leadership with our coaching program. And here today, we have two representatives of our coaching program, namely Anna and Heidi, that are leading it. We enable meaningful connections. So we have a yearly communication plan, and we had a very good representation and event in the Berlin conference in last June. And we advance women's professional journeys with our board program. And the board program is actually hosting this webinar. So when we look at the purpose of advancing women's professional journey, then we look at the board program. And my name is Rebecca Keat, and I'm leading this program together with a great steering team that is really trying to help women to achieve their ambitions and fulfill their potential, becoming a board member. So our board program goal is to become a dynamic platform for experienced PNG alumni leaders, board-seeking women, and available positions on boards. So we are doing it through four things. One is we enable the placement of women from the PNG network into board positions through our contacts and partnerships. We help boards to get the best candidate in the market, so it's a win-win because we know that the PNG alumni profile is very, very well-rounded professionally. We help companies bring more diversity to their leadership, which we know is something that is improving shareholder returns and value. And we drive women in different types of boards. So be it an NGO or a private company or a public company, we help everywhere. The program has three pillars. The community pillar, which is a place where we have a supportive network for alumni women. And I urge you to join us. We have a very lively WhatsApp group. We also have a LinkedIn page, of course. We have the content pillar where we offer educational resources, and we have a library that is slowly filling itself with more details. And we have a partnership pillar where we partner with leading headhunters and coaching and companies that can help get positions on boards, or communities that help women to get the best board positions. So today we are in our Women's on Board series. We had a couple this year, as you can see here on the little screen, and we try to bring to you insights from board members, chairpersons, and headhunter, to have a practical advices, representation across NGOs, startups, private and public companies, get perspectives from global organizations, and also today to get really tips that are concrete tools that will help you to get to those board positions, because I can tell you that I'm on a board for a couple of years now, and it's not easy. It requires a change of mindset, and I think coaching is very, very helpful in getting there. So this is the board. This is the webinar that we have today, and I will let Anna, of course, moderate it brilliantly. It's called the Beyond the Glass Table: Confident Steps to the Boardroom, where you will learn really how to get more confident to get your position and to stay there and to be successful. Coming up next, we will have webinars around nurturing networks, the CEO board dynamics, men championing diversity, and also how to have your CV and LinkedIn optimized to get a position on boards, because this is where you have to be, and this is where headhunters are looking and companies are deciding if you are an initial good fit for their companies or not. So we have a great content library. If you want, you can also scan that and get there, and really we will provide you with the powerful content and the exclusive community. So thank you very much. I want also to share that the coaching program is actually inviting you to use their services because it's something very powerful that helps people all around the world. And you know that today you can do it also virtually, and it is very, very successful and helpful, when, especially when you have high positions and you need to cope with a lot of different stuff. So here you have our P&G alumni, great coaches on the screen. And on the next slide, I have a QR code where you can book a free consult with one of the coaches and get a one-on-one. I can tell you that I've done it, and it was very, very helpful. So I really encourage you to do it as well. So that's it for from my end. I am going to hand it on to Anna. And I want to say that Anna is having two hats today. One is on our steering team of the board program, and the second is as a coach. Anna has a very vast experience, also being in, of course, at P&G, like all of us, but also in large companies like Intel, and lately I also discovered that she was here in Israel, and she's a transformational executive and well-being coach. She's an experienced leader in Fortune 200 and a personal sustainability guide. So I hand it on to you, Anna. Thank you so much for that.
Thank you. Thank you, Rebecca, for such a beautiful introduction of the program, and personally, just thank you very much for leading this Women Board Ready program. And the idea of this panel is to map the challenges, watch-outs, tips, and recommendations from board directors and headhunters, and link those with coaching team that we commonly encounter, so that you can see how coaching can help you and at which particular stage of your board career, board journey, it might be useful for you. So we guide you through our experience with help of Jenny and Heidi, and then you decide for yourself whether it's something that could help you. And in preparation for this panel, I used insights from the previous P&G alumni Women Board Ready panel discussions, and also interviewed several board directors in confidence, which are not from the PNG alumni. So we have a different perspective. One millennial and one baby boomer female director, and 3 male board directors, one millennial, one Gen X, and one baby boomer. And I'm privileged to introduce to you 2 panelists who will help me explore how coaching could be a powerful tool for you at various stages of your board journey. And let me start with Jenny Chu. Jenny is the co-founder of KittyKat and an AI-powered marketing specialist helping brands create consistent on-brand content that converts. A qualified Singapore independent board director, she has served on multiple boards and advises startups, especially women founders, on sustainable growth. With over 30 years of global leadership experience at Procter & Gamble, Hasbro, and Frontera, Jenny is also a practitioner of ontological coaching, which is close to my heart as well, embracing the philosophy that enables us to address human challenges, expand the space of possibilities, and create the conditions that transformational shifts in the way we live and lead. It's such a pleasure and honor to have you with us on the panel today, Jenny.
Thank you.
Heidi Piper. Heidi is executive leadership coach and consultant, leadership team facilitator, and best-selling author of Lead with Love, We Had Heart and Hands Leadership Needed Now. Previously, she was a global innovation executive leader at PNG, based in Europe for 30 years. Heidi is the leader of the PNG Alumni Coaching Program, which is proudly sponsored by the PNG Alumni Women's Leadership Forum. We are delighted and honored to welcome you to the panel today, Heidi.
Thank you, Anna.
You're welcome. So, and the first question is for Jenny. How did you get your first board role, Jenny?
My first board role was a non-public one. It's called Revivo Biosystem. It's one of the successful Singapore R&D government agency project spin-off. So it moved from a deep science technology and they want to commercialize it. I was recommended actually by one of the board of directors because it thought of my go-to-market experiences and product launches in PNG would add value. The same for when I was in Hasbro and also in Frontera. But the fun part is when I went for the interview, I saw 7 male and all from very strong scientific background, at least double PhD across Germany and India, and then you have China, France, USA, and you have also a Japanese and a Singaporean. And that was me. They're a candidate they want from a female perspective as a board member. But frankly speaking, I was just armed with an A-level biology and chemistry from school. I don't have a PhD, okay? Unlike Heidi, I know you have the PhD on R&D and so forth. But during the interview, I decided to really lean into honesty and also coming into a bit of a humor. So, and then as they interview me and I listen and so forth. And this is where I also use my coaching experience to listen, to understand, and also be able to put some of a big question out there. So I say that, according to my assessment, I'm about a 10-year-old, right? In your world of science, but I'm going to learn a lot from all of you. But in the world of commercialization and scaling businesses is why I'm interviewing to be in this board. You're going to be the 10-year-old, and this is where that I can share my experience. I guess that moment broke the ice. I see some really smiling, right? And it helped them see the value of how someone like myself, from a different perspective, is able to come to the table. And because board WC is not a club of identical experts, right? It's about, and PNG taught us that diversity. Whenever diverse people with diverse background, diverse experiences, that what makes it effective to be in the board. I think I'm still sitting in this board and I continue to enjoy and be able to contribute as I also continue to learn about gut health, which is also quite passionate, something that I'm passionate about as well.
What a story. Thank you for sharing it, Jenny. And I could see that humor played a significant role in the success of the interview. But your experience, of course, was the key factor. And with that, I guess that some of our participants, or those who are watching the recording, because the recording will be posted on PNG YouTube, PNG Alumni YouTube channel. So those who are watching the recording of this panel might be wondering, these board directors with 20, 30, even 40 years of extensive corporate experience, leaders who have achieved so much and even coached their teams, their peers, and perhaps even their own bosses. So what value could coaching possibly hold for them? After all, they've been there, done that. And here I want to ask Heidi. So Heidi, what are the coaching theme that you commonly encounter? Because something tells me they might be pretty similar, regardless of seniority or experience. Or
well, that's exactly right, Anna. It doesn't matter what level you are. Things like imposter syndrome, where you're saying like, "What am I doing here? Can I really achieve what needs to be done?" That happens regardless of the amount of achievement that people have had in their lives and the level they have reached in their careers. And so, self-confidence is a key theme. Also, we all walk around with some degree of limiting beliefs because we were socialized when we were young by our surroundings. And so uncovering and dealing with limiting beliefs and the behaviors that result because of them is a key theme. And then as they get into position, stakeholder management and how to impactfully influence are two key themes.
Thank you. And Jenny, when you listen now to what Heidi listed as a common theme, is it something that you can relate to with your board experience?
Yeah, definitely. I think what Heidi just say is like, where I felt the three hotspots, one of them is the stakeholder management. Being a board, you're accountable, right? It's a responsibilities which you don't get yourself hands on, but you need to be able to have the curiosity to smell the place, right? It's about strategy, ensuring that you have the right governance and also the transparency. Yeah. And Heidi mentioned about ability influence, because especially more when you're in a minority. For example, when when I got into the reviewable biosystem, I was the only female and no science background. It was not easy, but we just have to put our voice in, because there's certain things that you can really influence, right? I think we also, as we also grow up in PNG, I think being able to show up physically, but also emotionally, and being able to speak your mind coherently with calm. And I think when I became a coach, I also become a better board member, very speaking. Why? It's because, I become a much more effective observer and be able to ask powerful questions. It's like you build a space to listen well, and then to put in your perspective in, your voice in at the right moment. I think that's something that I can relate to. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So it appears that many coaching themes are aligned actually with board journey experience. So sounds exciting. So let's dive in. And how I wanted to structure the panel today. And it's based on what I learned from the previous panelist, PNG alumni and headhunter who joined us. So few stages of the board journey. Stage number one, before you start looking for the board role. So what do you need to do? Which question do you need to ask yourself? Second is while looking, so you decided that you definitely need to serve on the board. So then while looking for the first board role, how coaching can help and what we actually do. Then third one, while going through interview, again, like how tips and tricks, and again, how coaching can empower the best possible interview. And actually, when you have already joined the board, I will also share a little peek from my interviews with male board professionals in the end of our webinar, and I will ask you for your feedback and reflection, Jenny and Heidi. Are you okay with that? Okay.
You're the boss,
Then-
Anna.
at least at least now, yeah. When I coach, I can't be the boss. My client is always no. They're partners. No.
Yeah, partners. Okay, partners. Yeah.
Partners. Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah, but I love it. Okay, so based on the takeaway from the previous panels, I listed the following points that are critical to consider before even starting your board journey, and where coaching could be useful. And it's first of all, understand your why. Then second is identify your ideal match, your ideal board, values of entire organization, values of board member that you would like to see to act at your best on the board. What is unacceptable for you? So this is kind of your ideal match. Then next one is to map your strength relevant to this board of your dream. And then continue working on your confidence, ability to influence, like that. When your interview or your ideal board appears in pipeline, that you are ready. And what's your reflection on those topics, Jenny? I guess that there were some questions that you ask yourself, and probably maybe not, but what questions should you ask yourself before you begin searching for the board role? I think this would be useful for our audience.
Yeah, and I think personally for me is I mean, searching for a board was not something that that just came out. I mean, frankly speaking, it was inspired by a friend of mine who is in a board, and she basically told me, I mean, just asked me a question. It's like, you've been busy leading teams, driving transformation from an executive side, right? But you know, being in a board, you can make a huge difference by not necessarily running the business, but provide a non-biased and strategic leadership, right? And that creates a curiosity in me, and it also creates a shift in a way. Hey, this is something that resonate, and as I dug deep, my why become very clear, right? It's not about being prestige or being in a title like you're MD of this company, but it's about making impact. It's about using your experience differently, being able to look at how can you influence without a power authority in a sense, and how do you team up with diverse people who are non-PNG or even diaspora and so forth, that comes from a diverse background, technology all the way to governance and so forth, to come together to build a long-term strategy and governance that is stewardship across corporation and building an organization, helping them to build that organization objective is something that clicks in me during that time, right? So if I were to reflect, I would be really how throughout after that, the first board, then you go in second, third, and fourth board is more this really understanding on my why. Yeah, because when you understand why, you really feel, if you understand purpose, it really feels resilient, because being in a board is not a walk in the park. Okay, right? It can be, yeah, and you also need to clear your value proposition. As you look at a board, you also need to interview which board fits you, because it needs to be a match, right? With the people that you work with, and that whole culture piece and so forth, and where you can also play to partner together to shape the organization. I think what's important is I think as I know, living PNG, going to different kind of corporation also opened my perspective a lot. I mean, I still love PNG, okay? Don't get me wrong. It's like you know, how the humbleness and the curiosity, it helps you, for me personally, is be able to learn a lot more. The world has changed so much, right? With all technology, all the geopolitical and all the stuff, you have so much to learn. And being in different boards allows you to also get to different perspective, right? So that's more into the why.
Okay.
And I think it's a demanding job, seriously. I say it's especially for a public listed board. When I joined a public listed board as an independent board director, you are supposed to be protecting the minority shareholder, and you got to really look at every single things that you read in the minutes, whatever you sign, whatever you say is all minuted, and it's all public knowledge, right? So those are things that you got to make sure that you read. Even it's 200 papers pre-read, you got to read through. Obviously, it's going to be 1,000, you got to read it through. So that's one thing that I learned. Yeah.
So it's serious things, and I understand that for you, at least, why was well thought through. And you also mentioned that you've been looking for ideal match, and probably these two things most like resonated with you the most. What about you, Heidi? That out of this topic that I captured from the previous board, what do you think? Which value coaching might bring to at that stage to help people really define whether the board role is for them? What is the ideal board?
Well, coaching in general can provide rich support to generate insights and help you get super clear on all of these questions, which are really important, the ones that you brought and that Jenny articulated she had experienced. So getting clear why you want to be on a board, what you will bring to the board, learning about your ideal board. If you could just wave your magic wand, what would that board be like? What would the people be like? What would your level of effort and time and travel required be like? And if you have companies in mind that you'd like to be on their boards, digging deeper into what the reality would be being on the board in this company. So coaching asks powerful questions, as Jenny alluded to earlier, which generate insight for the person being coached. It also provides a very effective sounding board. Sometimes it's easier for people to get very clear just by talking it out. So you have a safe person, neutral person, often experienced person in the topic that you're getting coached on that can allow you, can be that sounding board for you. They can also offer frameworks to help you guide their thinking and be an accountability partner for taking action, which we'll get to in a few minutes. And of course, share their experience and their knowledge if you're interested in hearing that. And on this specific topic of before you even apply, so getting clear on your why, they also can support you to get super clear on your values for yourself and in your life, because that can be a great North Star, a great guiding point for when you start looking at boards, because then you can identify if you're what the values are of the board and if it's a match. Because usually what happens longer term is if there is not a value match, you start to you start to lose interest. And then getting super clear on your strengths and your experiences so that you start to become prepared to see if what they're looking for is a match for what you have to offer. And then finally, as Jenny said, these requirements for these board roles can be quite substantial in terms of what you need to deliver. And so helping you get super clear on what you're willing to offer in this role. How much travel are you willing to do? It could be that there's a lot of travel required, and how much work are you prepared to do in between the board meetings? Because in the end, the board members are accountable for compliance and results, and it's a serious responsibility.
It sounds like you touched a very very deep topic about values. And yeah, one part of me is saying, okay, we're supposed to know our values. But at the same time, on different stages of our career and our life, it might be slightly just like shifted, and one of the value may become more important. And I agree with you that this open conversation with someone, as you said, like neutral and asking powerful question could be really useful at that stage. And yeah, and all of the previous panelists, all board members, they were emphasizing this why and perfect match and values. And looks like it appears we are largely aligned and ready to proceed to the next stage. So,
And Anna, maybe I can add.
yeah,
Sorry, Anna, maybe
sure,
I can
go
add.
ahead.
I think one to Hades. I think most important like is, and this is someone who taught me also as well. I want to share that. I think what's important is also that as you go to your networking with the, you know, in one of the some of the board members or events and so forth, when you meet board members, and then you can also ask them the question. It's like, or you go for interview. Why do you join this board, right? Yeah, what is the thing that resonate, the value that this company, corporate, and between the board members and also the company, that is your why, right? So from all that, you will really get a bit of the fits and so forth, and where your value fit, and where, you know, it's a dance that you need to do together, right? You can always ask
Yeah,
question to the board members,
and
people that you meet, and you find a lot of answers that you can clarify yourself. Yeah.
and it's great that it will be a segue to our probably not even next topic, but our topic of how to go through interview successfully. And I remember that previous panelists, they also were telling that during the interview, it should be two ways conversation. So we probably touch base on it later. And assuming that you decided you are looking for your first board role, what was interesting that most of the participants of the previous webinars, they shared that securing the first board appointment is the hardest. Board chairs, headhunters often prefer proven board experience, and you are just looking for a first board position. And three advice that they consistently shared through the panel, it's tenacity, perseverance. So be ready for rejection, keep going. Some have mentioned 80 rejections before they got first board role, and this is very senior leaders with amazing experience. Second thing that they mentioned, intentional networking. And third is creating ability to articulate very clearly your strengths and your experience, which you believe the board of your dream that you already defined in the previous stage that they are looking for. And Jenny, based on your experience, do you agree?
Yes, I agree. I could still wind back on my first, when I start looking for a board role, okay? I face rejection. It could be some direct, no, you don't have any experience before, and you're not certified in the Singapore Independent Board of Directors, so you got to get that certified first. And sometimes they just keep silence, right? And I'm like, okay, what do I do? But I think having surround myself with people who are in a board, and it just gives me the assurance it's okay to be rejected, right? I mean, it's part of like being a PhD. It's like you thought that you got to perform, you got to just the ego thing. You're like, okay, right? But then, so I see it as my own personal coaching session. It's like, what can I learn, right? I coach myself. What do I do differently now? When you mentioned about intentional networking, I think that's really super important. I learned how to do it, and I try and also learn to do it much more effectively. Is when I found that boards are increasingly looking for board members who understand technology application into business and AI. Everybody spoke about AI, but it may be a very surface level. So it's not just theoretically, frankly, but end to end. So I put myself out there and co-founded KittyKat because the founder was looking for someone. I said, okay, why not? You know, being an AI powered creative and marketing platform, I can be able to add value. And that became the experience became my boot camp, frankly. All right.
Okay.
So it means is that I don't learn AI. I mean, like, you know, I don't just learn the AI strategy from a distance or from a theory, taking a course, but I help build it from scratch together with Kathy, right? And then around the same time, I was invited. So coincidentally, right? Because when people know you're out there, then your names just goes being circulated. So there's this company called OmniShelf. It's a retail technology company that was spun off from MIT. So I was invited to become the advisory board. And that helps me to really deepen into the AI workflow to how they transform the retailer's operation. I started with sales. So retailers has been my customer. So it became quite easy for me to step in as well. But I think what is exciting for me is being able to look at it from the venture at a strategic level. I guess right now, if we go to anybody, have a conversation on boards, and I can really confidently say is, hey, you know what? I've lived the complexity. I understand the promise and the pitfall of AI because of these two experiences that I have gotten myself into.
So in that way, during your intentional networking, you can already mention your strengths and your readiness to face adversity, to face ever-changing dynamic of the world, etc.
Yeah, but you see, another thing is the tip was they were looking for board members that know how to leverage AI and be able to advise from a strategic level. So that's the reason why I built new skill, Anna, that I put myself, you know, to be co-founded with KittyKat and OmniShelf, which is very much an AI-driven technology platform. So that one I upskill, right? Yeah, in that sense.
Okay, thank you. And Heidi, when we're talking about this, looking for the first board role, and of course tenacity, sometimes it feels like, yeah, you have it, but then you don't have it anymore, so it's hard. Or like intentional networking, or something else maybe that comes to your mind from coaching perspective. What would you share with the audience?
Yeah, well, coaching can support someone through all of those topics. So first of all, on the networking, absolutely, that is a key point. And so supporting someone to identify the key players in their network that they might reach out to, and then making a concrete plan to do it. And then being an accountability partner for that happening, being a sounding board to brainstorm other ways they might expand their network. Also articulating what you bring, what are your strengths, what are they looking for, as Jenny mentioned, that maybe you don't have as your strengths, but then making a plan to develop those strengths to gain that experience. Also, then the whole kind of human side of it, where you might have fears about being rejected or it never working out in the way that you want it to.
Yeah.
And so supporting someone to take a look at that and move through it so you don't accidentally sabotage your own effort, because that is something that can always happen to anyone. And then to be able to move through any rejection that happens along the way, which is natural. I mean, you're not going to get 100% yeses. And so the coach can provide moral support, remind you of the value you bring, just again, be your partner, be a support so that you can just continue, keep going.
I like what you mentioned. I even captured it that then sometimes we accidentally sabotage our efforts. And so the coach could make it very visible for you, like very clear for you. I love it, absolutely love it. And of course, it's a support because it's a long run. I'm not sure whether it's a marathon. It's probably Ironman or something, something. Yeah. So okay, and let's imagine that we already invited to the interview, and Jenny already started this conversation that Okay, Jenny, you mentioned that interview should be two-ways road, right? So that it's not only we ask, we are looking for beautiful answers to their questions, we're also ready with our questions. And any other insights you would like to share?
I think for me, what helped, right, as I continue to learn, okay, is to reframe the interview. I think when my first bot is like, I'm bot ready. I need to prove I bot ready, right? But it's actually much more difficult to be able to be yourself and convince the people from a selection standpoint. I think what's important is you bring your transferable value clearly, like what Heidi says, right? What's it that you can offer and what also the company can offer, right? And then I think for me is I've gone beyond my global executive experience leading businesses, but now I'm journeying more in terms of where I can offer board, like in terms of linkages to how I've dealt with governance, strategy, AI disruption, which I've learned a lot from the being co-founding KittyKat and also advisory to OmniShelf. And then in terms of the stakeholder complexity as well, and how does translate to the board. Because a lot of times, I think the board members, as they assess, you need to help them connect the dots. I think the more you're able to share your skills and where your value, your transfer value are to the company, the better it is you're able to help them see. Okay, especially from governance, they already know you, that you have the executive experience, and being in PNG, you do have that, you earn that already, right? But what else you bring forward that you can, be to the board, right? I think the other one is being authentic. I know that is sometimes, I mean, in my early days, I rehearse. It's like I come in, okay, I want to sound like a perfect candidate, okay? Just like going into an interview. But when you into a board, it's very different, okay? They are looking for people with leadership presence, the courage, and they will bring perspective. It's not about someone to fit within them more. They want the difference, the transparency you bring, and your ability to bring your own voice in and to be able to communicate with confidence, right? So my advice, even as I continue to also play in my at the back of my mind, is you don't you just go there, you prepare, yes, but you don't perform, right? It's a two-way, meaning that two-way conversation. Show that you're evaluating whether this board is the right fit for you too. You need to have that power shift. So it shifts the energy, right? Instead of saying, please pick me, kind of thing. I did that before. now you're gonna say, let's see if this is the right match, right? Because it makes you stand out, right? In short, right, there's these three questions that we need to ask from both sides, you and where you're interviewing for the board role, is who am I? What am I? And why am I right for you? Both ways.
Yeah, and there's something that resonates with me, probably from the perspective of, like, in general, the coaching for the interview. And I guess, Heidi, is maybe the same for you, that we do encourage our clients to really try to figure out whether this is the right match for them during the interview. Not exactly as Jenny said, take me. No. Because, and you, Heidi, you said that if we realize that our values are not, don't meet, that we will lose the spark, and we're losing our spark, we're losing the value that we can bring to the board. Wow, it's getting more and more interesting. So let's imagine that when you have joined the board, and I will ask you questions based on my clients' experience. What they said, what they shared to me during the coaching session and during the interview, by the way. So that when you are new to the board role, you might go to different extremes. Like, for example, be too quick and direct with share your opinion. Let's say we could do it that way or that way. Or quite opposite, when you have the own perspective, different perspective different from what is in the boardroom at the moment, then you are not voicing your opinion proactively. And my clients and those female board members who I interviewed also acknowledge that what they discovered is very different and sometimes unpleasant communication styles and personality styles on the board that they have to handle differently comparing to their leadership roles. And also they notice that all the new triggers tend to appear while temperature in the boardroom increases. So I wonder, Jenny and Heidi, that this is like, are those inputs, comments, observations from from my clients and people who I interviewed, is it something that you find relatable?
Absolutely. Okay, Heidi, you want to go first, or you want me to?
Go ahead.
Okay. Anna, absolutely. Okay, I experienced both, right? And I have been there in a boardroom where temperature rises and my old triggers will surface. Sometimes I feel being dismissed. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna react, on the statement we shared. I think that calls for a lot of very important, critically, your presence and your self-awareness. And I think this is where me is being a coach myself, and I will just say, okay, Jenny, just breathe and ground yourself before you even transmit. I think at the same time for women, when you say about either you react or you just keep silent, I think what I also noticed, including myself as well, and a lot of other women board members that I observe or coach, right, is the challenge of being able to balance between your voice and your influence. Okay, because sometimes we tend to second guess, okay, or worry how our contribution will land, will they judge me, but I think importantly the board wants you to bring your voice in. That's the reason why you're there. I guess my biggest lessons that is learning how to flex my style, right? When things gets really tense and so forth, my instinct and I feel strongly on a subject, I will go straight into either I fight or I flight mode. Fight means I push hard and then go into the battle and challenging, right? In a way, being very resolute, or I totally just keep quiet, right? But I learned most effectively is to really shift myself into openness. I just breathe and then open and then ask powerful question. I guess learning from being a coach is you learn to basically have being able to build a space for you to ask a question. So one of the things that I learned is when room was tense, right? I just asked to say, oh, if this decision is going to play out, how is it going to play out for the next 5 years? Yeah, and everybody like, oh, okay, yeah, and that really removes the tense. I think the other one is like why. For me is why you joined the board. I've actually resigned from one of my independent board role with a Singapore listed company. It's called Alpha DX. Over time, I realized that the direction that they had and the values, right? They would talk about values. When I interview, the values fit, but due to changes on certain and the boards as well, that's the direction, the values no longer align with mine. So it wasn't an easy decision, but stepping down was the right one. Now, just imagine, right? When we resign from companies, we just write our resignation letter. I know the most is 1 or 2. Why do you resign? So forth. But I resigned from a public listed company, and in Singapore, the Singapore Stock Exchange has to interview me across 3 times interview with different people. And then before my resignation letter could be publicly published, right? So it's a huge learning experience, yeah. And I guess as you rightfully mentioned, and also Heidi as well, board is about especially being an independent board directors and a public listed company, you're supposed to be how to call that, representing minority and guard into stewardship integrity. Now, if the why is gone, you doesn't serve you to stay and doesn't serve you, and it doesn't serve the company as well. So I would say resigning is not a failure. It's clarity and it's
Mhm.
courage. And I was, and one of my coach told me that, okay, because I was like, oh, did I
Okay.
do the right thing, right? Yeah.
Thank you, Jenny. And you know, we're so taken by this discussion, so we probably have to make a
Sure.
choice because we have 10 minutes to the end of our panel. And I wonder, do we have questions? We probably have one. So let's us target to have 5 minutes to the questions. And we probably we promise to share a sneak peek from male board members. Do we jump into it and then see if we have time to like?
Anna, can I offer a couple of things
Sure.
on this topic?
Oh,
Yeah.
please.
And because Jenny opened a really important topic about getting triggered, and this is one area where coaching
Yes.
is
Yes, you're
very,
absolutely
very
right.
helpful because we all carry triggers. And so working with a coach, one of the key benefits that can bring is taking a look at your triggers. So you can come and share stories with the coach about where you got triggered. And through the dialogue with the coach, a skilled
Yes.
dialogue, you can identify what the source, the original source of the trigger is. And so you can diffuse it. So you can actually do regularly after that what Jenny said, you ground, you center yourself, you're not triggered in the same way anymore. And that allows you to step into what I call your personal power. And when I say that, it's not about power over, it's more like being like Yoda from Star Wars. So stuff comes at you and you're just like, okay, got that, you know, here's your powerful question, as Jenny said. Because once you get knocked off your center, once your trigger gets activated and you go into fight or flight, even if it doesn't show up as a huge thing externally, there's a lot going on inside. You are no longer powerful. You are no longer effective in that moment in the way that you could be. So that is one of the biggest benefits I have found of coaching. And there's the whole area about influence. And I also, having been a woman executive for many, many years, have learned a lot of tools and tricks or tips, if you will, to increase your influence. And while, you know, as a new person on the board, one of the biggest things that's helpful is to start building an individual relationship with each of the other board members. And as you build that relationship, you build the trust, you find out what's important to them, how they think, how they interact. And so that informs the nature of your powerful questions that you'll ask. And all of a sudden, you are influencing in a way that is extremely powerful and everybody feels great about. So there's a whole kind of strategy around how to get in there and show up, which it sounds like Jenny has executed brilliantly. So
it's interesting what Heidi, what you're saying. Actually, when you started to speak about it, about triggers and about grounding, actually, I experienced this next to you. And I know what it means. Like when really coach helps the client in the conversation to stay calm and to create this space between, like, to shift from react to respond. And this grounding, like calming energy, is something that I believe that I agree with you 100%, that coaching could be very powerful tool in supporting the client in a new setting, because it's a new setting. You think you are ready, but you're not, because it's a new challenges, new discoveries, etc. And it's useful to have someone like, you have my back. Yeah, I have your back. So during this first month of the board experience. Well, great. So we're slowly going towards the end of our conversation. Let me bring the slide which I promised to you, and we'll briefly read it. So let me bring it to, like, this is what men are talking about. So three male executives, 3 male board professionals shared how might coaching help women on the board maximize their contribution. And Gen X, the first one, is suggesting coaching on assertiveness. And he also admit that coaching perhaps is something women are better at. So coaches should help women, like should coach women to be better coaches outside the boardroom, as you mentioned, that building connections outside the boardroom, building this relationship. Person 2, millennial, he said that coaching is extremely, in his opinion, extremely important in the industries where there are fewer women mentors available, or simply like leader who could be a good example, so that coaching from a different industry could be a great support, even if it's like person does not have relevant industry experience. And the third person, baby boomer, he shared with me that he believes actually that we need to coach male-dominated boards to ensure that they search for female board members, they extend a warm welcome to women, that they involve them as equals and provide them with fair remuneration. So to me was very powerful when I read or listen to the insights. So we are about to wrap up. So probably, like 1 minute to each of us before we look for the questions and answer the questions. Maybe 3 key takeaways about board and coaching and how coaching could help us. Jenny?
I think that what you shared just now, Anna, I would summarize it into 2 working levels. One is coaching, specifically to me, is the individual level that you build the assertiveness, presence, and voice. And the second one is boardroom level, in the culture that it builds in terms of creating an environment where diverse contribution are truly heard and valued, transparency of information. And the 3 key takeaway for me is be very clear on your why. Your why guides you not only why you join a board, but also why, and also when you step away, right? Second one to me is executive presence is built, not given. Meaning that when influencing in a boardroom isn't about being the loudest voice, right? Sometimes it works to your, not to your benefit, right? It's about really listening well and timing it with clarity and a presence. It's just like tangoing, right? You think like a tango. Sometimes you lead, sometimes you follow the rhythm. But either way, you're visible and you're intentional on the dance floor. Okay. As I said earlier, being a coach myself, as I coach also other board members, and being also in the board helps me to be a better board member. That's why I say coaching actually is a game changer. Why I say that is because it really reframes a lot of self-doubt, right? It helps you look at where your triggers and where you can flex your style and strengthen your voice, right? Meanings that give you confidence, yeah? And not just be invited to dance, but step in, hold your ground, and lead with impact when the music calls for it, right? That's how I will summarize it. Okay, Anna.
Thank you. Thank you, Jenny. Heidi, what are your 3 takeaways?
So I would say first, just be very clear about what's important to you. And I would say even look at your whole life and then the role that this plays, being on a board plays in it. Be very clear also on what's your ideal. So I always advocate being very clear on the ideal, even if you think it's crazy and not possible, because that will get you closer, if not to it. And then the second thing is do be aware of how much value you will add, even if you've never been on a board and you're doubting yourself. The fact that we had experience working in P&G, which is like probably the best leadership academy company in the industry, in industry, we really definitely have learned a lot and add a lot of value. If nothing else, there is a phenomenon common in many boards where boards try to manage the executive leadership team instead of lead them, and they're in the details and not strategic. And these are two things that you naturally, because of your experience in P&G, will bring. And then the last thing I would say is get in there and do your inner work, because that would allow you to significantly increase your personal power.
Thank you. Thank you. And for me, I would say that 3 important takeaways. So first of all, that coaching could be very useful on each stages of our board journey. It's number 1. Then second, it helps generating insights, because we are evolving, our strengths are evolving, our triggers are evolving. So we need this constant partnership where we can test ourselves and strengthen ourselves and simply become more authentic self based on what I learned. And third one, that it's not only about us, it's about community, society, male professional. It's about coaching male dominated boards. It's about building the opportunities for women. So that's my summary. And thank you very much to those who attended this panel today. It's a great honor and a great pleasure. If we have questions, please tell me how we can see them. I see in the question Q&R, it sounds like it is much more important to do a proper due diligence of both company, the board and its members, as well as what matters for the self before diving into board opportunity versus what one would normally do when applying for an operational role. Would the panel agree with that? And if yes, no, why? Thank you. I think, Jenny, this question came a bit before your example about this, like when you parted your ways with the board, but maybe you take it, this question, maybe you reinforce your answer, because you are the one who had this experience.
Yeah, I think it's important that I like the word due diligence. It's just that you know, like we interview for a job and so forth, right? Well, the interview for a board. I guess the difference is you're not going in to be the operating it. You're not the one doing it. Here, as a board member, you're working to basically to look at the strategic level to guide the direction. It's like poking a nose in, but you don't really get your hands dirty in that sense, right? So all the more it's very important is that that the value that you bring and the value that the company or the board really had a match. To me, that's important, right? And also at the same time is the board members as well. I mean it's personal for me, right? I would go enjoy, but if I know I mean the trust, of course, you earn the trust, you build the trust and respect for them, but also the dynamic as well. If I go to a board, I feel that the dynamic doesn't really feels how do you call that through question that I ask, for example, right, in terms of when I ask the question, how do we allow diversity of, toss all this in? And I have board members before say that, oh, it just doesn't matter, right? To me, it's not something that I value, and like this is a no, right? As I say, it's about two. It's two ways. As you go and interview a board, you also interview as well in terms of doing your due diligence as
so
you pick which one to go. Yeah.
You create your future, you create successful future, not only for the board, but for you. And due diligence is extremely important. Thank you. I think we are like a bit over time. I think we are like, we're 5 minutes over time. I do appreciate everyone and your time and your insights, Heidi and Jenny. Thanks a lot. Grateful for you joining this panel today and providing your advice, your true stories, and sharing your examples from both coaching and board experience. I guess all participants could connect with us through LinkedIn, and we will share the presentation with links. So look forward to seeing you again for